Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind podcast, built for real estate professionals that want to work less, earn more, and make an impact in their community. For information on how you can become part of the estate professionals community, visit probatemastery.com. This is the Estate Professionals Mastermind. We do this every Tuesday. You guys are tired of hearing me kind of go through this broken record thing, but for those that are new or you've never been here, you're not here live, you're listening after the fact on our YouTube channel, Probate Mastery, or our podcast platform, the Estate Professionals Mastermind podcast. We're here every Tuesday. It's open for everyone to join, ask questions specifically around the probate and estate administration process with regard to how it can help grow your real estate business. That's what we're here to talk about. So in the coaching session that I was just on, where we were role playing, someone showed up and asked how they handle the objection of we're almost done with probate. And I'm going to ask those of you that are phone warriors, you make phone calls, you prospect. Is that an objection that you guys get when you make your calls? Do you get people that say, "Hey, I don't need anything"? And if they don't use those exact words, the attitude is, "I don't need anything because we're done with or almost done with probate." Do I have anyone that gets that? And if you do, wave at me. I see a couple of hands. Okay. So the biggest thing that we started with is being able to deal with that objection when it comes up. Dealing with the objection is important. But before we deal with it, we want to understand what our goal is. So once someone has vocalized an objection, anything that you say at that point needs to be in an effort to build rapport, not deal with the objection, not handle the objection. Once they've given an objection and their attitude is no to everything that you just said, because I have an attorney, because probate's done, because I have it all handled. That's the attitude. They might not say no to everything you just offered, but that's essentially what they're doing. You are on polar opposite pages, and your first goal is to get on the same page. So if I get an objection that's essentially a no to everything that I just offered, I have to reposition their position. I have to change their position a little bit, just a little bit. I need to do what Chris Voss would call label. I've called this reframing in the past. Essentially, it's the same thing. So those of you that are Chris Voss fans, you know that he would start a label with "it sounds like," and then to a degree, you repeat back what they say. If they have come out and objected to you, "No, I don't need what you just offered because probate's done." It's an objection. You guys are on different pages at that point. I'm not going to say, "Oh, it sounds like probate's done," because that doesn't do anything for me to be able to build off of. I need to change that. So for me, I change their position just a little bit with something like, "It sounds like you guys have kind of buttoned up most of the administrative work." So it sounds like you guys have buttoned up most of the administrative work. And then they go, "That's right," or "Yes, yeah, we have." Okay. I can work more with "we've buttoned up most of the administrative work" than I can "I don't need what you offered because it's done." I can work with "we've kind of tied up or buttoned up the administrative work." And I'll go, "Perfect. I like to call when administrative work is mostly done. Could I take a second and tell you what I do?" Yes. So now we're on the same page, and I can kind of progress with the direction of the call that I want. Okay, does that make sense? So somebody comes out and they say to you, "We have an attorney doing everything." Outstanding. I love connecting with people that already have the legal side of the process done. I'm assuming your attorney's doing all the legal work for you. The goal here is for them to say, "Yes, that's right. That's right. Yes, they are doing the legal side of it." Great. I'm not a lawyer and I don't really get into any legal things. Could I tell you what I do? And they go, yes. So before I progress into either correcting them or redirecting the conversation, I need to get on the same page. I need to get on the same page. So I need to get them agreeing with something that's a little bit softer than the way that they started. So I need to turn "we don't need anything" into "I wasn't looking for help today." I need to turn "we're done with probate" into "yeah, the administrative work is done." I need to turn the "our attorney's doing everything" into "the attorney's doing the paperwork." I need to change some of these blanket positions that they take when they're objecting to me, and I need to make it not a blanket position because I can't work in a conversation. I can't work with the blanket statement. I need to get them to agree that it's a little bit more nuanced than how they portrayed it when they gave me the objection. And now I can start to progress with the call. The bottom line is I don't like dealing with objections. I don't know many people that do like dealing with objections. Some of the people that chase objections and they practice them over and over, they're always practicing on the zinger, how to get the person to recognize how wrong they were. And in my opinion, that just destroys our rapport. I don't want to destroy our rapport. I had a gentleman one time that called. He'd been in probate mastery for a while. He was a great prospector on the phone, and he wasn't getting a lot of deals out of his phone calls. And he called me one time and he said, "Bruce, I just can't get it through these people's heads that they need me." And I said, "Well, what's the conversation go like?" And he says, "They always say our attorney's handling everything. We don't need you. Our attorney's handling everything." And I said, "What do you say?" And he said, "That's where I tell them that they're wrong, that their attorney really isn't handling everything, and that I handle more than the attorney does." And I said, "And then what do they do?" And he said, "They hang up on me." Okay. No doubt they hang up on you. You're correcting them. How many of you like a stranger telling you you were wrong? What's it do when a stranger tells you you're wrong? What's it make you want to do? Makes me want to hang up on them or say some choice words to them. So I don't want you guys doing that. I need you getting them to agree with a new position before you start moving with the call. Ultimately, when I'm prospecting, I would like to figure out what that objection is that they wanted to give me and head it off at the pass. Head it off and turn it into a positive response versus their negative conversation killer. So, how are we going to do that? Somebody unmute yourself and throw out an objection that you guys might get frequently and that you don't like, and it could be any of the ones that I just gave you as well. Anybody getting an objection that isn't so fun to get on the phone? Who wants to volunteer one?
I'm going to volunteer one. Let's do
Great.
this. Okay. Um, Thank you for calling. I don't know who you are, and I think I've got everything under control. I'm tired of you guys all calling me and getting my number.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna home's been sold. That one's really good. So once you get that, okay, once you get that, that's hard to overcome all that. So what I want to do is I want to give them an opportunity to say a piece of that where it's not where it's not all of it. Okay,
Okay.
so a piece of that is I think I heard you say I have everything done. I think I heard part of what you said was I have everything done. So I'm gonna say, Kristen, I don't want to bore you with a million details. We essentially help with the probate and the estate administration process, but I don't know where you are. Do you have everything basically all finished, or are you really early in the process?
Well, I don't think it really matters right now because I'm just overwhelmed with so much stuff and the attorneys and all of these damn phone calls.
You're getting a bunch of call. Who's calling you? Is it like real estate people or is it estate
Anybody and
companies?
everybody who thinks that I have property to sell or that I'm going to sell my property.
Oh, got it. Yeah, so they're just chasing real estate then.
Correct.
Okay. That's a little different from what I generally offer. I have no idea if you have um, a minute to that you could give me. Could I take a quick second and tell you exactly what it is that I was calling about?
You're so smooth, Bruce.
So
Yeah, that's
recognize
really good. I liked how you worked that all in there. That was very
you're
good.
you're being confrontational.
Hmm.
Okay. I don't like it.
I
I
don't
want to
either,
I
but
want
I
to be
get it.
extremely clear with everyone here. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. We're on this, and in my mind, I'm like, man, if I can't get out of this, this is going to look really bad on our YouTube. Okay. So
Right?
it gets really uncomfortable. I want everyone to know that. There were times when Chad was running the program, that people would show up and they'd be like, Chad is so good, I could never do that. So I want to go the opposite way. I want to be extremely clear with everyone that that objection was wildly uncomfortable for me. And I was like, okay, how am I going to undo this? Okay, the first couple of principles that we want to do when they vocalized the objection and they've really laid it out hard and fast like that is I need to make them feel understood. I need to get them agreeing with something. So it sounds like, everybody's just calling chasing real estate. Is that right? Yeah, they're just calling chasing real estate. Oh gosh, are you just getting tons of calls every day, or what's it look like? And suddenly you're kind of giving me feedback. Before I
Yeah.
ever deal with what I do that's different, I need you um communicating back to me. It doesn't mean that this is always going to work,
Okay.
but at least you're kind of now you're back, we're back and forth, we're engaged in dialogue. And now I can say, well, that's not exactly why I was calling. Could I borrow maybe a quick minute and tell you why I called?
Okay. And I say, sure, go ahead. What
Yeah.
makes you, what.
Okay.
Old
Now,
ladies, man, I'm telling you.
I know. Yep. Now I'm going to go all the way back before your objection. So
Okay.
I don't want to get the objection to begin with. If I do, I have to battle out of it. I had to battle out of your objection. I don't want to battle out of an objection. I want to be the person that gets you to vocalize any quote unquote objection on my terms, on my terms. So if I know that most people are going to say, we have everything handled, generally what I'm going to do is I'm going to pitch, have kind of like a concierge service. It helps with the probate, the estate administration process, but I really don't know much about your specific situation. Do you guys have everything handled, or are you still really early in the process? So I've given you two options now. Two
That,
options, not 18 options, two options. And because I know human psychology, I know that you're probably going to tell me that you have everything handled. Probably,
okay.
maybe not,
Probably. Right.
probably.
So, so does it really matter what their response is
Negative.
to you? I'm getting,
No.
you right? Because it doesn't really matter. They can say we just started. They can say they're 2 months in. They can say we finished it up 2 weeks ago. But
Yeah.
your response to whatever they say isn't
Mhm.
really going to change. Is that correct?
That's right. But I know that there's really only two things that they could respond with there, because I only gave two options. Now they could always bring something else up, but it's not likely. It's not likely. What I'm doing is I am significantly restricting the possible things that they could say to where I basically know one of the two different things that they're going to say, and all I have to do is know what my response to two things is, not 18 different responses they could give me. Having to guess what one of the responses they're going to give me is nerve-wracking. I wouldn't prospect. If I was constantly left, like, are they going to cuss me out? Are they going to be happy? Are they going to say they want help? Are they going to say their attorney's doing it? Are they going to say they're all handled? Are they going to say probate's done? We just started. What are they going to say? I don't know. I personally, I wouldn't make any phone calls. So,
Exactly.
um, when I only have to prepare for two answers, one of two answers, oh, I can do that. So I give them the two options that I want. In the case that I just gave Kristen, are you guys just really early in the process, or do you kind of have everything handled at this point? And I know that they're probably gonna say, we have everything handled. Now, what have I done? I've taken we have it handled, and it's no longer a no, I can't believe you're calling me. We have everything handled. Why do you keep bothering me? It's not that anymore. Now, all of a sudden, instead of that, it's a yes, Bruce. They might not say these words, but it's the same attitude. Yes, we choose the option that you gave us that we have it handled. And my response, I don't use these words. Sometimes I do, not always, but the attitude of my response is always perfect. That's why I called. Perfect. So, Kristen, you said, does it really matter what they say? No, it doesn't matter what they say because it's always perfect. That's why I called. Again, I may not use the words perfect. That's why I called, but that's the message that I'm delivering. Bruce, we have everything handled. Okay, great. That's actually why I called. I help families that kind of taken care of most of the administrative things. If you have things kind of covered at this point, what I'd like to do is this. This is where I would offer a package of resources, or I'd offer an email, or I'd offer something that's hard for them to say no to. But I've suddenly taken the objection that I was just afraid of before, and I've made it to where I kind of want the objection because it's not no longer a no objection, it's a yes response. It's a yes, we have things handled. It might be yes, we don't need you, we have things handled, but at least it starts with a yes. At least at least the attitude of it starts with a yes because I gave them the chance to say it to begin with. So
Ooh,
let's take another one. What else
interesting.
do they? What else might they say? And Kristen, if you want to give me another one, that's awesome. Don't give me the long version as an objection, but give me the basics of what objection they might want to hit you with. Anybody else that wants to throw one in as well.
Mom just died a month ago, and how could you be calling? You're an ambulance chaser.
That's a pure objection. So let's try to avoid this. All right. So Carl, I don't if you don't mind, could I take a second, tell you why I called? And then you say yes. And then I go, listen, I essentially help with the state administration, providing resources and guidance through the probate process. I really don't know how recent this is. Was this a really recent family loss, or was it a while ago? Now, the benefit of this is I know that it was a recent family loss. So you're gonna say, "Oh, Carl's back. Yeah, Carl got a call." So you're gonna say at that point, "Yeah, it was really recent. It's no longer a you're an ambulance chaser. Mom just died a month ago," because I was the one that gave the option of saying, "Yeah, it was really recent," and then I can go, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I can imagine things might be a little tough right now." Yeah. All right. And then I go, okay, because of that, and here's the perfect, that's why I called. I'm not using the words perfect, that's why I called. I'll go, hey, because of that, I imagine there's probably not a lot that you need right now. If I sent you a little packet with just some resources in it, do you think you'd look at it and maybe give me a call if you ever needed anything? So I've sort of taken the wind out of the mom just died a month ago. How could you call me sales? Because I didn't give you a chance to say, Mom just died a month ago. How could you call me? I did give you a chance to say, yeah, this was a really recent loss. Okay. Let's take, we're done. We're done with probate, which normally, if they say that as an objection, that's their way of saying, I don't need anything that you just said or that you're going to offer. We're done. We don't need anything. That's their way of doing that. So I want to take it away. I want to go, I help with probate by kind of offering a little bit of a turnkey, or some might call it a concierge service that helps with an estate administration process. But I don't want to just bore you with a bunch of details when I don't even know where you are in the process. Have you guys kind of finished most of it, or are you really early into probate? And then they say, because we know human psychology, they say, "Hey, we're just about done. We're done." Okay, great. I like to catch people when they've gotten all the administrative stuff down. So that's my version of perfect. That's why I called. Okay, great. I like to catch people when they've gotten most of the administrative things done. What I do has a lot to do with asset distribution and management. Do you guys still have assets involved in the estate, like real estate or vehicles or anything that you guys might be selling, or are you working on keeping those in the family? So, the majority of the time, what I like to do is pre plan a certain number of questions that are pre-planned. Now, a conversation could go 1,000 different directions. So during any conversation, I'll probably ask 24 different questions of the prospect. But I want to have just sort of a set number of pre-planned questions in my quiver that are either or questions, either or, either or. And those are helping me feed them the objection that I want to soften, but they're also helping me give the other side. So if I said, "Hey, are you guys pretty much done with probate or have you just applied?" Well, half of the time, 90% of the time, I know they just started 2 weeks ago. So I already know what they're going to say. If they lie to me and say, "Hey, we're done with probate," that's a lie. At least I know it's a lie. And I can go, "Hey, perfect. That's why I called." But most of the time, they're going to go, "Yeah, we just started." And then I like to soften things a lot. A lot of times people that are just starting haven't run into a lot of administrative needs that they have. Can I ask you a question? Is there anything that you guys are needing at this point? Or do you have things handled so far? We have things handled so far. Okay, great. Okay, it sounds like there really wasn't a whole lot you were looking for today. Is that right? So I'm taking the objections and I'm putting a little spin on them. Not we have things handled or never going to need you. I put that little spin on it. Sounds like maybe you weren't looking for extra help today, right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, that gives me a lot of room to maneuver that conversation because I've taken what would have been a hard and fast objection, "I never need you," and I've turned it into, "I wasn't looking for help today." Okay. And that gives me a lot of maneuverability. So what I want to encourage you guys to do is find a way to, before any objection is vocalized, find a way to take your most dreaded response and objection and put it inside of a question, giving them permission to give you that answer. So if it's, "Our attorney's doing everything, we don't need anything," give them permission to say, "Our attorney's doing the bulk of it." So I might go, "Let me ask you guys, are you handling probate independently or have you hired an attorney to do most of the administrative work?" And they go, "We've hired an attorney." Great. So they're doing kind of the administrative side of everything, right? Yes. Okay. And then I can move with the conversation. It's no longer an objection. I show up on these calls pretty frequently and talk about objections because that's the one thing that causes the majority of us to not get on the phone, causes the overwhelming majority of us to avoid avoid the phone. We need to be on the phone, and if you already know the objection or the response that they want to give, and you can build it into your conversation, kind of pre-plan for it, it'll make you a lot more comfortable on the call, right? Anybody else have one that they want to throw out there?
Yeah, Bruce, I got an objection.
Yeah.
Okay, so most of the times, I'd say out of 100%, so like 20% of the times, these people try to ask me like, "Where do you get these details from?" Like, these are
Where did you
this
get my
is person.
information?
Where did you get the information? This is personal stuff, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's a tough one. That's one of the ones that I don't like to get. Normally, it's somewhere near the front of the call. "How'd you get my information?" All right. So once they say, "How'd you get my information?" let's deal with this from two sides. Let's deal with it after they've already vocalized that. You got a battle. I don't want anyone to think that you don't have a fight to get back on the same page. There's a bit of a fight. So the key is giving a short answer and then asking a question that gets them off topic. So the key is, Oh, hey, really good question. We actually work closely inside of the Wake County Courthouse to identify recent applicants for probate. So short, 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 and then say, question for you guys. Are you in the middle of probate or have you literally just started? So suddenly I'm taking them off of how'd you get my information into in a different direction. So I want to answer the question inside of about a sentence and then ask a question that takes them away from their original um, uh, quote unquote objection. That's not really an objection, by the way, but it's still a hard question. It's kind of like their attitude is this is a put out. You I didn't give you my information. How do you get it? It's tough. Okay, so if they get that far, give them a one sentence answer. Oh, hey, yeah, actually, we call everyone that's going through the probate process, especially those that have just applied in the last month. Can I ask you guys a question? Are you working through probate independently, or do you have an attorney at this point? And now all of a sudden they're stuck thinking about how to answer your attorney question, and they're not thinking about how to get my number anymore. Okay, so short answer, do not answer long. So whatever that answer is, the longer you try to explain yourself, the more uncertain they feel like you are. It's going to get awkward. Okay, now let's go back to avoiding it completely. So I'm going to call, ring, ring. Andrew, hey, my name's Bruce Hill with North Carolina State Solutions. Listen, I'm giving you a call because I connect with people that are going through and have just applied for probate here with Wake County. So wondering if you had a second. Okay, so I already answered how'd you get my number with my opening. I'm calling because I call everyone that has recently applied for probate here in Wake County. I gave them an answer. They don't have to ask at that point because I gave the answer inside of my opening.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
I would much rather jump ahead of any objection before they have a chance to ask or state it. Hey guys, I'm butting in here with a quick ask. If you're getting value out of this coaching today, I want to invite you to check out my probate mastery trainings over at www.probatemastery.com. Probate Mastery is for you if you're an agent or an investor that wants to work with motivated sellers that have inherited real estate that they don't need and in many cases can't afford. These sellers are more appreciative, willing to trust your expertise, and less likely to nickel and dime you over commission or price. Why is that? They're often in the middle of a complex probate or an estate administration process, and this means that real estate is very often a burden on them, and they simply need the help. Inside of Probate Mastery, I teach you exactly where to source your leads, how to establish value, and offer your service in a way that quickly makes you, as the professional, your market's expert in the probate space. If you want to know a little bit more, go over to www.probatemastery.com. Hope to see you guys inside of the community. Thanks. All right. Eva.
Hey, Bruce.
Hey.
I'm curious about it's probably in the course I haven't completely finished yet, but the sequence of phone calls, because I think you mentioned before you have a VA, but then, how are you leaving this call? And then how many more phone calls are you making?
Yeah, great.
Usually, okay. How far apart? I mean, we're,
Not far apart. Not very far apart. Okay. I was at an event in Orlando 2 weeks ago, a Real Estate Investors Association event. And before I got up to talk about probate, the one of the gentlemen in the room, they pointed to him as a huge success story. He'd lost like 150 pounds in the last year and a half, and they were talking about how he'd been out of the scene for a while, and the owner of the RIA group said, as a matter of fact, this guy, his name was David. He said, as a matter of fact, David called me on a Sunday, and he said, those of you that know me know that I never ever answer the phone. And David called me on a Sunday, and it just happened to be one of those times where I didn't have anything going on and my phone was in my hand. And for some reason, I just felt like accepting the call. Okay. And that's the way that he set up the story is I never answer the phone, but I answered the phone. Why? Phone happened to be in my hand. I didn't have anything else going on, and I was just compelled to answer the phone, even though I didn't know the number. All right. So I want you guys to know that even the most adamant, I never answer an unknown number among us, and I'm pretty adamant on that. I don't answer unknown numbers. We sometimes answer an unknown number. Okay. So I know that. And I know that everybody will eventually answer a number, even if that's not their MO. So for me, if I'm gonna call you, Eva, and let me ask you, Eva, are you the type that if you see a number that you don't know, are you the type that's gonna answer it or not answer it?
During working hours, I'd probably answer it because you think it's
Oh,
a
good for you.
customer client something.
Good for you. Okay, that's the way you should be. I am not the way you should be. Okay, I'm not. I'm not telling you guys do like me. Don't do like me. I just don't. Um, if I see your number 3 times, 4 times today, I'm answering. So here's our approach. We will take any given probate list and do a quick scrubbing at the beginning of the day. Just beginning of the day, we'll take 30 minutes, something like that, and we'll run through our big probate list and we'll pop the decedent's address into tax records. Just a quick copy paste into tax records. Who owns that house? If the decedent's name is on ownership for that house, it moves over onto a spreadsheet for our call list that day. So we build that list up to 20 to 30 names. Just quick copy paste, copy paste, copy paste into tax records. No, they don't own the house. That's a nursing home. Yes, they do own the house. And that's as long as that house is owned, that's our call list. Now, I want to let you guys know I am missing real estate opportunities by doing this. Okay, we're getting 300 leads a month. I absolutely miss opportunities by doing it this way. If you're only getting 40, 50 leads a month, you might not want to do this. So we're just looking for those that decede and own the house. If they're on our call list of 20 to 30 names for the day, we're going to call. If they don't answer, no message. So no answer, no message. By the time we're through that list of names, we're going to go back and call everyone that didn't answer the first round. We're going to call them again. If they didn't answer by the time we're through that list of people that we've called twice now, we're going to go back to the beginning and we're going to call them again. If they didn't answer that time, we're going to go back to the beginning. We're going to call them again. Okay, so because I coach you guys, I'm extremely accustomed to hearing people say, "Hey, Bruce, on some days I only get 5% answer rate. Sometimes it's 12, sometimes it's 20. On a great day, you'll get a 20% answer rate. On a great day for us, we get 70% of our leads to answer. Why? Because they see our number 3 or 4 times. Like, who the heck is this? This must be important. I'm going to answer the phone. Okay, so that's the approach.
That's
Right
the thing,
now-
because I've gotten mad at someone before. I'm like, who is this? And then and then it makes me mad, but I don't know about anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, here's the question. Is the result the same if they're mad at you versus ignoring you forever? Yeah, result's the same. So I would rather at least have a chance to put my offer in their hands. Okay. So does the occasional person get a little bit bothered? A little bit. Now, if you frame your opening properly, then they'll recognize and generally soften up a little bit. So it's, yeah, hey, what? I've answered the phone that way. What? Especially when my brother calls me and he doesn't leave any space between redial and redial and redial. We're leaving space. We're an hour apart at least. So it's less likely that they're going to get highly annoyed. And then we'll say, hey, this is regarding your application for probate here in the last couple of weeks with Wake County. Oh, yeah, what about? Did I mess something up? We get that frequently. Did I mess something up? So I'm not saying I work for the county, but some people, if they want to think that we're with the county, far be it from me to stop them from thinking that. And of course, at that point, I'm just going to say, oh, no, I don't work for the county, but I do work with people who are in the application and petition process for probate. Can I take a second and tell you why I called? And they go, sure. And then I pitch, and whatever my pitch is, our pitch is put resources in their hands. So there's 3 or 4 calls in that day, any day that we're calling. I do not call the 4 or 5 phone numbers that are on that probate lead. If we've made it through a month trying them and we've never been able to get a hold of them, yes, of course. If the number is, if there's no voicemail attached and I just don't know if it's even the right person or not, yeah, we'll go to some of the backup phone numbers. But during that first month, we're just sticking to that top phone number most of the time. Voice messages. We're going to do this several days over the course of the month. So typically later in the week, let's say we called them on Tuesday 4 times and they didn't answer. I may leave a message on Tuesday at the end, very last call. Hey, I called you a couple of times today. So sorry. My name's Bruce with North Carolina Estate Solutions. This is regarding your application for probate for Mrs. Smith. Could you give me a call? So generally generic, but it's regarding your application. So regarding your application, they're like, did I do something wrong? What about my application? I'm going to call you back. This is one of the reasons why we'll have sometimes a 70% connection rate on that first day that we've called. If we get to the end of the week, normally on Friday, everybody that on our list that never answered through the week, it's time to just go call the people that never answered during the week. So that now those people that 3 or 4 days ago got 4 calls and never responded, now they're going to get 2 calls on Friday as well. And we're getting a strong answer rate on those also. So we're typically picking it up an extra 10, 15% on Friday as well. So at this point, we're on a bad week, we're getting 60% of our leads to have engaged with this on a call. On a good week, we're at 80% of our leads to have engaged on a call. All right. Then I'm going to go. So first half of the month is always focused on the leads that I haven't spoken with yet. Second half of the month, I'm going back and I'm kind of doing the process again to try to get people that still haven't engaged. And at the end of the month, if they have not engaged with me at that point, we're talking 20%, maybe 30% of a lead list hasn't. At that point, I'm starting mail at that point, starting in month 2, because they're clearly not going to be answering a call. Not that I'll never call again, but I'm just moving on to a different list for phone calls, and I'm going mail to them for the next couple of months. Is that helpful? Kristen, your hand went up a little bit ago. Do you still have a question before I go to Lou and whichever one he was gonna?
Well, I was going to ask about leaving voicemails, and you just answered that question. So in one avenue, I'm like, well, why don't you just leave the voicemail the first or second time you call, as opposed to calling 4 or 5 times and then waiting. So that's my question at this point.
Yeah.
Why don't you leave a voicemail earlier so you can save time down the line?
Why? Because they will. There's no curiosity anymore. Like, oh, I've missed this call 4 times. What's this about? Let me call and find out. Let me answer and find out. Versus first missed call, second missed call, leaving a message. It just completely eliminates their curiosity. Oh, this is just someone calling about the estate. They're probably wanting to sell me something. They're probably wanting to buy the house. It just removes their curiosity.
But that's a thing, because I know when my phone rings, they didn't leave a voicemail. It wasn't important. I'm not calling it back, right? But then I also run another business and I have to answer my phone every time it rings too. So there you go. I'm in a quandary there with that.
I recognize that there's a portion of those that want to screen the call and they're not going to call back unless they see a message. Those that leave voice messages are frequently going to tell you that voice messages are generally pretty unlikely to get a return call. Not impossible, but it's a small percentage. I've eliminated their curiosity at that point. They know what it's about. I don't have time to deal with this. I'm not going to call back. I'll get a few when I leave the voice message. I get a few people. So if I do leave a voice message, it's always the last call of the day, and it's always relatively generic. It's not, "Hey, this is Bruce, call me," generic. It's, "Hey, my name's Bruce. This is about your application for the estate of Jane Smith. If you have a moment, could you give me a call?" So they know it's about the estate. Let's pretend that they don't call me back, and I call again on Friday twice. They don't answer. I'm not going to leave another message then, but I might the third round of calls in a week or two. So through a month, I probably am just going to leave 2 messages.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Good. Hey, Lou, what do we have?
Yeah, just in the chat, question from Luisa. What's in your package that you email them if they say yes for additional information?
Yeah. This stuff is actually just about to go into probate mastery. So I've got 3 tiers, a little bit of a teaser. So I'll describe it now. So for anyone that's not in probate mastery, you can at least get a small description. If you're in probate mastery, we're about to put multiple different resources that you can copy and put in your packages. If you're in coaching, you guys have additional resources that are a little bit more exclusive, just a little bit. The main thing is that I'm just trying to do with all these different tiers is make sure that I don't have 18 people sending all the same resources and completely squashing each other's businesses. So that's why we're doing tiers. So in probate mastery, you guys are going to have one set of resources. Those that move into group coaching are going to have another set of resources. And then hint, hint, not ready yet, but we'll be ready next week. I am going to have a third set of resources for those that are just not finishing their packages and not making their calls, where I and my team will do it for you and send the resources out for you and make the calls for you. So anyone that is just not getting your stuff done, which is infuriating to me, not infuriating, but let me just say it's demoralizing to me. I'm just going to offer to do it for you guys. So anyone that wants more information on that, look for a workshop coming out in the next week, and we'll email you about that. So let me describe what goes into the resources. A nice little cover letter. Hey, we spoke a few days ago. I just wanted to send you these resources to help with the probate process. I will frequently put a probate checklist into the resource package. There is a probate checklist that you guys can use in Probate Mastery right now under the downloads. I'll put a trifold brochure. There is a brochure under the downloads in Probate Mastery. I will generally put a little bit of information on different vendors that I use. I'll normally also, in a separate section, have a little real estate section. So it'll get a real estate cover page with some comps and maybe some different pricing ideas on what their home might be worth. So that's the basics of what I would send in kind of a follow-up package to them. Now, if you want to go all out, you guys could do books, you could do notepads, you could do pens, you could do magazines, and all kinds of different things. All these things take a while to build up. These are assets that if you're concentrated on it, it's going to take you some time to build. So I would just start with some basics, offering legitimate, real value. And one of the most valuable pieces that you could send is that probate checklist that helps them understand where they are in the process and what they still need to do. All right, so that's gonna help if you're starting with a resources package. Okay, you're Georgia Homegirl. I always call you by that, and every time I go and look you up, and I still every time I see your Georgia Homegirl, it just messes with my brain, so I never call you by name. You
It's
gotta
all
forgive.
right. I am your Georgia homegirl, Kendra.
Kendra. I've literally every week I look I look you up so that I can call you by name, and by the time the next week rolls around, it's like you're Georgia homegirl again.
And not a problem.
Go for it.
So I'm excited about what the resources that you'll be providing on the website and also what's already there, because I am getting my credibility package to send out after I make these calls. Also, I wanted to know, do you send something out prior to the phone calls, like an email or something in the mail? And if you do, what would you suggest in doing that when you haven't even spoken to them at all?
Sure. Yes and no. So this is one of those questions that I get a lot, and my answer for myself and my business is no, I don't send anything before the call.
Okay.
But that's me and my business. I think I think that it can be extremely beneficial to send something before the call. It's just at some point you can't do everything, so you just kind of choose the path that you're choosing, and you're like, hey, I could send a letter before my call, but I'm already doing these other things, so I'm gonna leave it. So you could send a letter before your call. Some people send a handful of letters before the call, and then they reference the letter that they just sent. Um, if I was going to send something, if I had a good package that I was going to send after the fact, I might send a little package saying, hey, I have a probate resources package that I can send you. If you want it, call me here. So that could be a good pre-call mail piece to send out. Um, for me, I just make the call because I know I'm going to get 60 to 80% of them on the phone that week anyway. So I just start with the calls because that's where my highest conversation rate comes from. But if somebody is like, I don't know what to say on the phone when I get somebody that I've never talked to, the phone call is so awkward, and you're looking for maybe an excuse to be able to reference your purpose for the call, you could send a mailer and then say, hey, I was following up on that package that I sent you a couple of days ago. My name's Kendra. It's the logo is Your Georgia Homegirl. I don't know if you remember seeing that. Yeah, I remember seeing that. And you go, okay, perfect. Could I take a second and tell you why I called? Okay, so you could legitimately send something ahead of your call and then use that as your excuse to make the call. It's not what I do, but maybe it's what you should do.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank-
Um, it, there are so many times where I get questions and I go, "Hey, you should do that." I don't do it, but you should do that because there's a dozen ways to be successful in this business. And uh, and the last thing I want people to do is like completely rip off everything that I do, and then a whole bunch of people are doing the same thing, and it starts to become ineffective. So being able to make your own adjustments is very important.
Makes sense.
But again, I don't send any mailers until I've tried to get them on the phone for a month. All right. Hey, Mario, what is happening?
Bruce, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
Good, good. So I had a question about how many times you call. So basically, I upload the list daily, and I call daily, maybe like once or twice.
Mhm.
So what you're saying, 4 times in one day from one phone number immediately when it's
Yeah.
basically available.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then let's just say they don't answer. Day two, go back to 4 times a day or wait a
No.
day.
I give them a break if my multiple calls that first day haven't done anything. I don't. At that point, I think I'm starting to border on getting them mad. Like this guy's called me 4 times, like today, yesterday, day before that. It's just too much. So just enough to get them really curious about who this number is that I've just missed a couple of times. Okay, and then give them at least several days break. Maybe have a follow-up day once a week where you call everyone that just didn't engage with you. And if they don't engage, that's that follow-up day. You might give them a week. So just because that's the way I do it doesn't mean it's the way you should do it. If you call every day, you're probably going to get 100% of people to answer. And if you can overcome some of that abrasiveness that the ones that are like, you've called me twice or four times a day for the last week, if you can get through that, then great, go for it. Call them every day.
Okay.
Yeah,
I probably would change because I call them now like 2 or 3 times a day, but I change my number every time I call them. So
fair.
I'm gonna try the approach with one number
I
day one
l-
and see what it goes.
yeah, so I really like them for at least the first half of the month to see the same number 8, 9 times and
Mm.
and show me that they're not going to answer. And 8 or 9 times seeing that number where they've gotten 2 voice messages during that period of time, I kind of know this number is not going to work. Maybe I'll change it at that point.
Mhm.
Another thing that we have to be really careful of is not burning our phone numbers. So if you're using the same number over and over and over again, and every day you're using that number 50 plus times, your number is eventually going to get flagged as spam. So
Right.
you're going to want to kind of limit the dials on that number, but you also want your people to see that number multiple times. So let's say you're calling for 2 hours a day, you might have three numbers and say, "Hey, here's my 8192 sheet. Here's my 7832 sheet. Here's my 2312 sheet." And kind of put people on where you're not burning a number, but you're still letting certain people see it repetitively.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool. Good question. Hey,
Thank
Joe.
you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I've done. How about after you call, you send a follow-up text saying, "Hey, this was Joe calling. It's about this and so on," or
No worries. Yeah, not I don't have a problem with it. Same thing with voice messages. I don't want to do that after a single call because it's going to eliminate any curiosity that they might have had. So, as opposed, if I was going to do a follow-up text, I would probably call, they didn't answer, call again 20 minutes later after I've called my other leads. They don't answer, call again an hour later. They don't answer. Now, maybe leave a voice message in a text or just a text. But I need that curiosity with them seeing my number more than one time that day. A text and a voicemail is going to eliminate curiosity. They know what it's about. They know who you are. They don't need to guess. They don't need to call you back. They don't need to answer your phone call the next time because they already know with the text or the voice messages. So I am not against you guys calling someone one time in a day. I just know you're not going to get big ratios of people to have engaged with you on the phone by doing so. I know a lot of people that take their list of 100 people and they go, "Hey, I'm going to call everyone on this list one time per month." And every month they get 10% of that list to answer, where I'm getting 60 to 80% in the first week. So now I'm spending a lot of time on the phone. I'll tell you, I can't, you can't do what I'm doing at scale without hiring. So if you don't want to hire, maybe just call one time today, one time next week. That's completely fine. And if that's all you're going to do, leave a message or send a follow-up text. Absolutely. But if you're going to call more than once in a day, save your message or text until the end, the last call for the day.
and the other thing is I just got for the first time the leads from the probate lead from all the leads, and I paid extra to get where it says if they have a piece of property.
Great.
And I noticed a lot of them don't have a piece of property attached. Do you still call those ones that don't have a piece of property attached?
How many leads are you getting?
Oh, I got 96.
Probably not. Um, reason I asked how many leads you're getting is if you had a total of 50 and 32 had a piece of property attached, I might call everyone, knowing that there's going to be a hidden opportunity in there somewhere. Maybe I get a chance to buy a vehicle, timeshares, Like that, there's all kinds of hidden little gems in that list. With 96, um, that's getting to the point where I'm probably just going to call the ones with known real estate attached. I don't call anyone without known real estate attached. I have too many leads. I'm focused exclusively on known real estate. Um, and ignoring the others. But there's tons of great referral opportunities. There's an opportunity to be wildly helpful to a family that needs other things. There's other business opportunities. I've bought cars, golf clubs, had someone with an airplane one time. Like there's legit, really phenomenal opportunities in the no real estate leads. It just depends on how big your list is and what that's going to do to your scalability. My scalability with several hundred leads every month is I just need to focus on known real estate.
How do you get a several hundred a month? I'm gonna have to talk to you more.
Where I live, that's all. Just where I live. Yeah.
Wow.
Uh,
Well, you know what? I live outside Chicago, and if I got the ones for Cook County,
oh yeah,
and
that's
it,
hundreds.
my head would explode.
Yeah. Yep.
And,
Uh,
and a lot of them are, you don't even want them, if you get what I mean.
okay.
They're probably in the areas like where you just like, oh my God, I don't mean to sound that way.
Yep. It's you yeah, we're all kind of making our business decisions as to what our ideal client is, what our ideal type of property is, what our ideal type of lead is. My ideal lead is going to be over 300,000, ideal property over 300,000. And that's really hard to get in where I live. I'm in Raleigh. It's really hard to get. It's going to be a decedent that owned the house and now the house is probably vacant. So our first scrub is if the personal representative lives in the decedent's house, we don't call them until later in the month. Our first for a couple of weeks is decedent owned the house and the personal representative lives somewhere else. Not a
Those are
different
perfect.
city, but a different house.
Yeah.
What's that?
So those are perfect. Those ones
Yeah.
where they live somewhere else, 'cause they don't want to deal with them.
Well, we'll do the same city, but that's a big indicator that it's probably vacant. Not a guarantee it's vacant, but a big indicator that it's vacant. So that's the first half of the month is we're concentrating on those. But if I had a smaller list, I would not filter it down that much. If I had a really small list, 40, 50, 60 people, I'd probably call everyone whether there was real estate attached or not.
Okay. Thank you, Bruce.
Absolutely. Hey, Sam.
Hey, what's going on, Bruce? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, so I had a couple quick questions for you. So with the intro and the pitch, I'm getting some objections. I'm overcoming them, but it sounds like to me you're probably more going towards just on that initial call, just opening up trying to open the door for you to get them the resources. So or you're not trying to like get the sale or like get a couple layers deep on that first call. Like so, I'm just trying to figure out like what your mindset is on that first call. Is it just about building rapport and getting them to say yes?
No, I want to get deep. I want to, but I also want to pick up a win when I can pick up a win. So, you can't count on getting deep with everyone. So if I can't get deep, I need a win. And that win is, yeah, send me your resources. That's my win. And then I try to go deeper on the call. And if they say, look, I told you to send me the package, why don't you leave me alone? Click. I'm like, hey, I got the win.
Yeah.
I got the win. Um, is it the ultimate one that I want? No, absolutely not. I wanna talk about real estate. I want to get an appointment. I want to get there, but it's just 70% of the people that I talk to aren't ready to go that deep on a call yet. Okay. So
Gotcha.
I'll take them there when I can, and I'll take the win that I got with permission to send them some resources. 'Cause I already know that there's a house, and I already know they're probably going to sell it. So
Yeah, me too. The ones that I'm targeting, I already know that.
yeah,
And, so it's just like, but, there's still sometimes they're very defensive. So it's like, I
yeah.
didn't know if I should slow down because, mentioning, we coordinate tasks and blah, blah, blah. And, we handle everything with real estate. And it's like, should I just pull back on that? But
Keep
okay.
it short. Keep that really, really short. So we coordinate tasks and we handle everything with real estate and estate administration. A lot of people fail by trying to explain too much. I try to explain too little. I'll go so far as to say, Sam, I don't want to bore you with a million details from a stranger on the phone. The short and sweet of it is I help with everything with to do with probate administration, and then I'm going to a question. So that's what's that, 2 sentences? I don't want to bore you with a million details from a stranger on the phone. The short and sweet of it is I help with everything to do with probate administration, and that's not my pitch, but that's kind of an
Yeah.
example. Um,
Yeah.
and if I can be done with my offer to them in 2 seconds, even if I didn't get a chance to explain everything, then I'm into a question trying to get them to talk, and I'm into offering them resources trying to get them to say yes. And if they say yes and they're friendly, then I'm taking that call much, much, much deeper. But we all
Gotcha.
know they're not all ready to have that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, I beat around the bush I think a little bit too much because I don't just want to go for the jugular for real estate. So I'm like, connect people with CPAs, estate sales, blah blah blah, and also everything to do with real estate, da 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 da. So it's like, I'm trying to, if I look it up and I could tell it's like a cash deal, I go straight. It's just we do everything with real estate, boom boom
Hmm.
boom, because I'm literally vetting them down to that point, but. Okay. All right. Well, that definitely helps me. I guess the next question that I have is, and if you don't want to share that, that's fine. As far as skip tracing, I didn't know if you had a favorite. I typically am using for like one-off skips. I use Skip Genie.
Hmm.
I use Direct Skip for like batches. I don't know if you have like a favorite that you want to share, or you just mix it up a
Yeah.
little bit.
So I have no problem sharing what I use. Skip tracing is one of those things where there's so many that it's just like, which approach? Should I mail first? Should I call first? The answer is yes. Whatever fits, because you just have to make a decision. Skip tracing's the same way. I use Propelio for one-offs. I use shoot, I just forgot the name of it. Been verified for group skips, but those are just because they're the two that I kind of picked and got familiar with. If you guys want like ridiculously accurate, um, TLO, TLO, hard to get approved. Hard to get approved. Like they're pretty. You're gonna go through an application process. They want to see an
Um,
office.
yeah, I was gonna say, don't they come to your house to get approved for
Yeah,
TLO?
yeah, yep, yep. So TLO, if you have an office, I might apply for them. Another one is, oh gosh, there's so many. There's legitimately so many. I just kind of picked two that I got pretty decent phone numbers from,
Skip
and
Genie's not bad. I've used them on and off for years. I like them because you can search by the address and a
yeah,
relative. It'll CNAME the phone numbers. It's not bad.
good.
It's
I've heard good things about Skip Genie, so I think
yeah,
it can change,
yeah, it's
change a whole lot. I would use Skip Genie if I just didn't already have accounts. Um,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I gotcha. Okay, and I guess I know there's a couple other people. The last thing that I had to ask you, and I don't know because you're gonna offer a done for you service, which is great. But I didn't know if you planned on doing anything like for virtual assistants, like a virtual assistant boot camp, basically, like like offering training where we could put one of our virtual assistants into your training modules and your systems. That way, then we can unleash them on our side,
Hmm.
resources just specifically around that. I didn't know if you had anything
I
like that in
would
the pipeline.
I would put them, there's two places that you can go for that. For free, you can go to my other YouTube channel, which is uh, severely lacking. I'm going to throw it up on my screen. I haven't put anything in there in a long time, but I was running my VA agency out of this other channel for a little while, and I'm not managing a VA agency at this point. So Coach Bruce Hill, and inside of this channel there are some old VA prospecting that I had. So if you go at Coach Bruce Hill, and then go to playlists. So playlists, and then in playlist, probate prospecting index, that only has one video, not sure why. I would do lead types and basic prospecting scripts, fundamental prospecting principles, tier
Nice.
2 ISA role play. This is really
Oh,
good.
nice.
Yeah. Now,
Nice.
these are using old conversation approaches. I haven't updated this in several years. I've modified conversation approaches. The conversation approaches are still good. They're still relevant. They're just not what I'm using today. Again, you just because I don't do something doesn't mean it doesn't work. So that's training and role play with my critique and feedback of the role play. Really good stuff in those. The other quote unquote boot camp would probably be the group coaching boot camp. So part of the group coaching that we do, 5 workshops every week. It's mostly for the business owner, but 3 of the workshops are role play. And I have people that bring their ISAs to those role play sessions every time. So every single week, I'm doing 3 role play workshops where we're just role play with critique, role play critique. And as those get big, I'll probably add more role play specific workshops. That way people can bring their VAs. I will tell you guys, it's not strictly a VA thing. It's basically designed for you to be in workshops and get really advanced stuff forever. So it's not cheap. It's not expensive like some people's group coaching programs, but it's not super cheap like you might be looking for a ISA or VA. All right.
Okay, thanks, brother.
Absolutely. Okay, who's next? I'm sharing my screen and my window went away. James. And then James and then Christian, come to you. And I'm not going to be able to answer any more questions after that because I have an appointment that I'm going to have to go to. But James, go for it, man.
Thanks so much, Bruce. I'll keep this quick. Like we say in church, I want to start with a quick praise report.
Yeah,
I went on my, you know how we do that, right? I went on my first appointment last week, and it went great. I was like, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about like the whole, man, do I need to get licensed as a realtor? And sure enough, it was like one of those situations. And so like, it went well though. I was totally not prepared for like a listing. I was going in it on the investor side, but I'm so glad that I prepared that way. And then the appointment just came, and I was like, holy moly, here we go. So
that's right.
Just wanted, hopefully that encourages someone else out there today and gives you some validation, and maybe end the call on a high note. So going through all the calls and like that, like I'm getting this specific type of PR who is just very like not attached to the property at all, and is just clearly looking for the highest price.
Yeah.
And so they're not like, and a lot of times like maybe the house is just run down and they don't really care about updating it, whatever. They're just looking for the highest price. So you try to get in like on the emotion side of it, like, I'm just trying to see if I'm in the ballpark. Can you give me an idea? And you're the expert, James. You tell me what the house is worth. And if I like it, then I'll say yes. And if not, and half of me is like, I'm just going to let this guy go and get back on the phones because there are other people waiting. But I mean, like, do you have any advice on those types of folks? I'm sure you've run into them, right? They're just clearly going through all the letters that they get and just asking, give me a price, give me an offer, then give it to me. Like,
Yep.
I don't know what to say.
So this is going to go against sort of mainstream advice on forcing people to give you a number first. I will make a stab at getting a number first. So the way that I make that stab is, hey, in that neighborhood, I'm familiar with the area and I'm gonna pull some numbers for you. But in that neighborhood, have you seen sales that would kind of match align with the condition of the home, and what are they selling for? So instead of what do you think it's worth, have you seen some other sales that kind of align with your condition, and what are they selling for? Frequently gets a little bit more honest response. Then not normally giving that number before I've met. So I'm generally going to say, hey, when you make a decision, do you think you're going to be looking at kind of getting full market value with the listing, or are you going to be looking to kind of get out of it easy, potentially selling to an investor?
That's the one. He was like, it's a dump. It's a piece of trash. It's
Yeah.
just, and so,
Well,
ask him, what about the,
you already know what price range you've got to be in. You've got to be at 65 to 75% of ARV minus repairs. So you don't really need to ask. Now you just need to know what you're up against. And I can tell you you're up against 65 to 75% of ARV minus the cost of repairs. And if somebody pays
sorry, Bruce, can you break that down?
Yeah.
What does that mean exactly?
$100,000 house. $100,000 after repaired, and people are like, "What market is that?" Probably not one that exists. Okay, house after you repair is worth $100,000, and you know it's going to cost $20,000 to repair it. Okay,
it's just estimates, right?
Yeah. So you're like, hey, it's going to cost 20,000. So your base is 80,000 today. So if it's 80,000 today and I put 20,000 into it, I'm going to have a $100,000 house. So your competitors are generally going to offer 70% of that 80,000. That's what your competition is normally going to offer. 70% of the 80,000. So, you deal with someone that doesn't want to give you a number. You're the expert. I just want the highest price. Well, you already know that they're only shopping investors. Like they're only shopping. So now you just have to know what you have to beat. And I'm telling you, you have to beat that 70% of 80,000. That's what you have to beat. If you don't beat that, you're probably not going to get the deal if he's calling a bunch of other investors.
Okay.
You might get an investor that's a 75% of the 80,000. You might run into some that are 60% of the 80,000. But in general, if you're not over 70% of the 80,000, you're going to be hit and miss on whether you get the deal.
Okay.
So what's the house going to be worth when it's repaired? How much money is going to be invested in that house? Subtract that off of what it's going to be worth. Okay. And then offer 70% of what that lower number is, or 75. And if you offer 80, you can still make money, but it's a lot riskier. A lot riskier, especially in a market that might swing a little bit. Now,
thank you. That was really handy. Nice little formula there.
What do they mean by dump is the next question. So is it just a little dated? And you don't have to answer this. I'm just going to tell you, if I go into a house and they say it's a dump and it's a little dated and I can put it on the market on the MLS and get a good price, then I'm probably going to offer them like 85%. And then I'm going to try to wholesale it by putting it on the MLS. Right.
Oh,
different conversation. But if it's really a flip, I'm going to try to be somewhere around 75% of ARV after I've backed the repairs off of the ARV.
Okay. He says there's no like structural damage, but it's just one of those where like the decedent had been just kind of in there for years and years and years. And so it's just overrun. There's probably a bunch of personal property in there that probably hasn't been updated or maintained or anything like that. But, like it would take some work to kind of like clean up to get ready for market. Right. So but I don't think like the roof's caving in or anything like that, So it's just one of those situations where he doesn't want to deal with it. He's just like, everything that's in there, just get rid of it, but just tell me what your highest price is. So
hey, James, I know investors in California if you're looking to sell it.
No, well, fantastic. Who's talking?
Joe Mullane. Joe, drop your phone number in. Drop your phone number.
Yeah, no, that would be fantastic. I haven't even talked to the guy, and I haven't had any like agreement or anything like that. So, but I would be great. It would be great to be in contact with you anyway, Joe. So thank you, and I won't take up any more time, Bruce. But thank you so much.
Thanks. Appreciate the questions. Hey, Christian, what's happening?
Okay. Hi, Bruce.
Hey.
I'm actually Gina. I guess my son was using my computer.
Well, I considered that for a second.
Yeah.
I considered it for a second, but You never know. We have some unique names.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So yeah,
Right.
I'll have to get that changed. But hey, this is kind of a personal question for me. We're settling my mother's estate right
Mhm.
now,
Mhm.
and so it's in Nebraska. It's a farm and ranch, and it has a house on it.
Mhm.
Um, so in Nebraska, they do charge, it's a 1%, basically inheritance tax
Mhm.
to the county.
Yep.
So there's, of course, the county assessed value. And you touched on this maybe a couple podcasts ago, but I guess my question is, I'm thinking we need to get everything appraised by an independent appraiser because then that's our baseline for capital gains.
Mhm.
Um, versus what the county has it assessed at.
Yes. It does not have to be a legitimate full-blown appraiser. They don't have to have an appraisal license or anything like that. This is just like us doing our taxes. And we say, hey, we spent $833 on business lunches this year. And 99% of the time, the IRS says, great, here's your write-off. And 1% of the time, the IRS says, prove it.
Right.
And we have to have receipts. And if you don't have receipts, you need a credit card statement. So it's the same way. We're telling the IRS what the baseline was for the property. And if they ever say prove it, you need to have something to back it up. And that thing to back it up could be the tax records. Bad idea, but it could be. It could be an appraisal. The best idea, but it costs money. It could just be an independent real estate broker's broker price opinion
Right.
for 50 bucks or free. So I offer clients independent CMA or broker price opinion all the time, and I say just use it in case you ever get audited to prove where you got the number from. So you could absolutely use a different. You could use. I probably wouldn't, but you could use a Zestimate for the baseline of property. I don't think I would, but you could. You could. I generally would hire a broker in that area to
Yeah.
do broker price opinion. Um,
But it would be better to have the higher price that when we go to the county, we have a year to basically tell them what we believe the
mhm. Yep.
value is.
Yep.
So they said we can use what, of course, the county has it assessed at, but that's going to be low.
That's a bad idea. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And I agree with Joe. His estimate's a bad idea. Not a good idea. I'm just saying you
Yeah.
could use it. Certainly not not the best idea.
Yeah.
Tax assessments just as bad. Get a broker price opinion,
Okay.
CMA, or a an appraisal. Appraisal
Yeah.
being the most expensive, probably the most accurate, but
Yeah.
I give clients CMAs all the time, and it's just fine. Hey, our realtor used these comps. This is where this number came from, is the realtor said that it was worth this.
Right.
IRS isn't going to argue with that.
Well, I mean, I can pull up comps of recent, solds back there, but
Yeah, I would do it and get an independent. That way if they ever said, hey, this came from you,
yeah.
definitely you want it independent. So just get another broker.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one other quick question.
Hmm?
Instead of probate leads, is there a source to get, for example, properties that were in a trust that aren't going through probate?
No. Your best bet if you want trust is going to be pre-probate. That's going to be your best bet, which is basically, and nobody that sells pre-probate will admit to this because it sounds really nasty. It's basically obituary leads. Now that they'll never tell you these are obituary leads, and I can't verify that they are, but that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
So that's your best bet, and then you'll pick up some trust properties in those, and but you don't know who the executor is, you don't know who the trustee is, you don't know if it's going to be in probate, if it's going to be in trust. You don't know, so you end up just mailing the decedent's address is kind of your best course of action when you're doing pre-probate leads. But trusts are hidden. completely hidden behind a veil, and we don't know who we're dealing with.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Gina, thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
Guys, really appreciate you guys hung with us for a long time. Sorry for running over. For those of you like, please button this thing up. But for those that are thankful that we went long, thank you guys for staying. And we will be back here in a little less than a week, 2 o'clock Eastern time next Tuesday. We'll see you then.